Hello there everyone. Welcome to Dragon Tail Tarot. My name is Ariel and this is your general reading for your survival guide to Mercury Retrograde in Pisces for 2020. See, I already can't talk. That's telling you where we are right now. Sorry I'm a little bit late getting this out. Mercury Retrograde started on February 16th, 2020 at, let's see, the time was 7:54 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so it was in the sign of Pisces. So this is going to be very specific to Mercury Retrograde in the sign of Pisces, as well as just some general survival guide tips for dealing with Mercury retrogrades in general. So whenever we get a Mercury retrograde, everyone, that means that Mercury is moving in relative backward motion to the Earth. And so it doesn't mean the planet is literally going backwards, but it's similar to a void of course moon, where there's a lag because of the way that the motion is. From our perspective on Earth, Mercury's basically not going in the right direction, like in the same direction that we are. And so it's literally like we're missing the communication beam. Mercury is the planet that deals with communication, mental function, the way the mind works, the way that it thinks, the way that we communicate, and the things that we use to communicate, like phones, the internet, anything electronic, etc. It also deals with things that we use to get from point A to point B, and so that's why airplanes, cars, any means of transit are often affected, and our electronics are often affected. Sometimes things will just not work during a Mercury retrograde, or they kind of seem like maybe they're not working, or they're not working the way that we would expect them to. So it does take a lot of patience during a Mercury retrograde and a lot of humor. The more that you can kind of remember to laugh at the little crazy things that happen or miscommunications, the easier it is, obviously, to get through it. I would always recommend, there's kind of a laundry list of things to avoid during a Mercury retrograde. That would be the big ones for starters. Don't get married. Don't get divorced. Don't buy a house. Don't buy a car. Don't make a large purchase that you can't return. Try not to take on a new job if you can during a Mercury retrograde. If you can put it off until after it's over, that would be better. If you can avoid it, major surgeries, if they're more elective, obviously if it's an emergency, that's fine. Go ahead, you gotta do it. But if you have a choice in the matter ahead of time, it's always a good thing to do. So those are kind of like the big no-nos during a retrograde. Some big ones that are very good during a retrograde is obviously to, do things that you haven't finished from the past. If it's something that you had from the past, because Mercury retrograde takes our mind sort of backwards. It takes our thinking backwards. So anytime that you come forward and you go, oh, you know what? I go back and I think, there was this project I had, there was this idea I had. I it started that thing and I never finished it. It's time to get it out and complete that. It can be a great time to pay back taxes or to take care of any kind of clerical work like that, because everybody's brain is a little bit foggy. And so if you're worried about like some kind of detail, or maybe you didn't include something, or you forgot something like in a tax form or things like that, it's a great time to do it, because the chances are everybody else's thinking will be just as fuzzy as yours, and it's a lot easier to get things through, because it doesn't have to be like down to the letter perfect. So yeah, those are some really positive things about Mercury retrograde. Many astrologers and readers will famously talk about how during a Mercury retrograde, old relationships, old friends, old people that you haven't heard of or heard from and forever will come back into your life inevitably. I don't find that to always be true. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It will not be unusual, however, to be thinking about somebody from the past. Whether you actually connect with them or not, really remains to be seen. And I also think that it has a lot to do with the sign that Mercury is going retrograde in, and also the place in your personal chart where it will be retrograding. Like, for example, my Venus sign is in Pisces, Mercury is in retrograde in Pisces. For me, it would not be unusual or strange at all if I was to have a phone call from an ex or from an old friend or someone that I hadn't talked with in a long time, because it's affecting my Venus sign very directly. And that has to do with our relationships. So for you, it could be different just depending on your chart. Mercury being in the sign of Pisces does affect the type of retrograde that we will have. This is a year where I believe all three of our Mercury retrogrades are in water signs. So, you can definitely tell that this is going to be a time of emotional review. This will be a time that we go backward and we think quite a lot about what we've been thinking, or what we've been feeling in the past. And so definitely you could say that perhaps this Mercury retrograde in Pisces would bring a, more possibility, a greater chance of, old love returning, because Pisces is a very romantic, sort of wistful sort of sign. It's very creative. It's very musical. That's another thing that I could say would be coming back for many people if you have creative gifts or talent, musical thoughts, creative thoughts, artistic thoughts. If there's a project from the past, if you're an artist and you haven't done anything with it for a while, that Mercury retrograde could really, really trigger that. I know that it is for me personally, because I am a musician, and as this I'm going through already, like, I've been feeling it. I'm like, yeah, there's more that I want to do with my music. So anybody out there that also likewise has creative pursuits, or hobbies or careers, that could be a thing where you kind of go back and you go, oh yeah, I really wanted to finish that, or I really been meaning to do something with that for a while. So this is all part of the Mercury retrograde experience in Pisces. So yeah, those are kind of my big list. I would say the other thing that's very interesting and, a bit magical but also very confusing about this particular Mercury retrograde in Pisces is that, I will show you the chart. Here it is as it starts. There is Mercury 12 degrees Pisces in retrograde. It is going to be conjunct to Neptune right here, which is in the green, and Mercury's below here in the blue. So these two are going to be, really intersecting each other throughout this. Neptune is the planet that rules Pisces, so it's in Pisces, its natural sign. Then Mercury's in its, in Pisces as well. This all brings a lot of magic to the surface, but also, like I said, a lot of confusion. You may feel very inspired, you may feel very dreamy, you may even be feeling a little more sleepy. I often do feel like I'm more fatigued, a little less energetic under just any Mercury retrograde, but with it being Pisces, it could be even more so, because I would say Pisces, of all the signs, is the most sleepy, dreamy, otherworldly, ethereal, because it's the last sign of the cycle. And, we're at the very end of our sun sign being in its journey in Aquarius. It's at, was 27 degrees Aquarius at the time. And so we're right in that transition of going from Aquarius to Pisces. And Pisces is really the last cycle of the astrological year, because it starts over again when the sun moves into Aries. So guys, the best thing that I would say, the most positive part, is that this particular Mercury retrograde is getting a lot of support from our planets in Capricorn, especially Mars. Mars just went into Capricorn the same day that our Mercury retrograde started. Mars in Capricorn is very positive. It is exalted in the sign of Capricorn. Even though Mars is naturally ruled by Aries, and Aries and Capricorn, they kind of butt heads. They don't get along the greatest. There's a lot of friction between those signs. But Mars in the sign of Capricorn functions very well. Really gives a lot of stamina and drive to your work. It makes you ambitious, but not in a, spontaneous kind of way. It's very planned out. It's very methodical. Thrives on routine. So, any of you, like I said, it's like when you have those memories coming back of old projects or things that you haven't completed, that Mars in Capricorn is really going to help get things done, move things forward in a very solid way. Now, if it's a new project that you're contemplating, I would wait until the Mercury retrograde is completed. If it's an old project that you need to complete, green light, go ahead and do it, because doing an old project or something that you've been meaning to get around to forever during a retrograde is actually very favorable. Starting something completely new during one, not so much. And that Mercury retrograde will be going direct on March 9th. And interestingly enough, that is the same day as the full moon will be in Virgo. So that to me is very interesting. It's like a real culmination. I believe this particular retrograde will have a lot of spiritual meaning, depth, and manifestations. And we probably won't know all of it until it's over, because during it, I have a feeling it's going to be a lot of like confusion, and people be like, I don't know what's up or down, and just kind of don't try to make a whole lot of sense during it, because it's a confusing time, especially with that Pisces energy. So the day that Mercury actually moves past what we call its shadow point will be March 12th. Now the shadow point means that, so Mercury went retrograde at 12 degrees of Pisces. It has to go all the way back to those 12 degrees of Pisces. So it goes backward, backward, backward. It's going to hit just a little bit of Aquarius. It'll be so late degree Aquarians, you will definitely feel that. And then once it goes direct, it goes forward, forward, forward again, and it has to go back to the same degree of Pisces that it was in when it went retrograde. So when it's finally done that, so the actual retrograde itself ends on March 9th. It moves past its shadow point on March 12th. So, or is that right? I don't think that's right. Let me double check that. See, that's another thing I would say with retrogrades. Make sure that you do your double checking. Okay, so see, I was totally wrong. It's March 30th. I wrote it down totally wrong. I wrote a 12 because it's 12 degrees. Yeah. Woo, we're in the retrograde, aren't we all? So yeah, so it moves past the shadow point March 28th, did I say 29th? At the end of March, let's just say that. It moves into the shadow point at the end of March. So, it's fine to go ahead, with your plans and with your moves after March 9th. But when we're completely out of every bit of that misty, foggy process is going to be at the end of March, guys. I'm just not going to try to do a whole lot of mentally challenging things. That's very obvious. All right, so I'm going to do a little reading here. And we're just going to tap into the energy that we should be focusing on intuitively around this Mercury retrograde. This should be fun. This is going to be for all of us. This is going to be for the collective. No specific sign thrown in here. My upcoming reads that I will do for each sign, I will go a little bit more into detail for what the Mercury retrograde means specific to each sign. But we're all feeling this collective. So let's just see what we got coming up for you guys, and for us, and for me, for everybody out there who's watching this. All right. Dear angels, guardians, divine beings of light, ancestors, helpers, and healers, please be with us as we do a reading for this Mercury retrograde in Pisces 2020. Please be with us throughout the session, protect our energy, and bring through clear, accurate messages as much as possible for our highest good. All right, major arcanas on this. Very interesting. Okay, for the start of this retrograde, I pulled the Chariot. Here's what we're starting with. So this is the energy of Cancer, another water sign. So this could definitely, for many of us, be in a way a return home. Also a reconnection with family and friends for some folks, as well as moving forward in knowledge and spiritual gifts. Very beautiful. I like that. Now the end of the retrograde, check this out. That Tower comes up, and you know what? That Tower is all about the divine, reaching in and tearing down some old structure that's not serving us well any longer. So I think that for many of us, this retrograde, that is the purpose it will be serving, is to lead us back to our soul's mission, and also to dismantle anything that's really, really not good for us, or really has outserved its purpose. The more that you are going in the direction of who you truly are, the easier this transition will be. The more you fight against the changes, the harder it will be. That's why that Tower card for many people has a negative connotation. But to me, it's only negative if you resist the divine, or if you've been resisting it. Like the Tower many times is a culmination of us feeling like, you know, we've known that we've needed to change something about our lives for a really long time. And we've just resisted the process again and again. And that's what leads to that dramatic Tower moment of everything, you know. It's like literally God, the angels, our ancestors like reach in and go, fine, you won't listen to us. Bam, we're going to knock this thing to the ground, and you're not going to be able to hold on to it anymore. So let's pull a zodiac sign and see what sign is coming up the strongest, what kind of message around this retrograde for us here in Pisces. Ooh, Aquarius gets the red light on this particular retrograde. Interesting, because this retrograde is going to visit about 5-6 degrees of Aquarius during its journey backwards, because Aquarius is the sign that comes before Pisces. Very interesting too, because Aquarius does rule our electronics. So guys, back up your computers, double check your phones, make sure that you save your information, you know, a good deal if you're writing something. Double checking our communication is very important. Aquarius also deals with the mass consciousness, big groups of people. So yeah, that's going to be something that comes up very strongly. You know, and social and political revolutions, liberation. It's very freedom-loving, sets people free to be themselves, embraces its own unique spirit. Think about it, you know. Go back as we go back. This could be very much returning to yourself, returning to what makes you uniquely who you are. Very, very powerful. All right, so let's bring up a planet card. See what planet is most impacted, or what message is needing to come through as a result of this Mercury retrograde in Pisces. And look at that. The Mercury card came up, so he knows we're talking about him. How you think, communicate, write, talk, and travel. Woo! All right, so definitely a very, very strong Mercury retrograde. No doubt about that. You know, this just makes, to me, it puts its energy very solidly in its own position. It's just strengthens up the message that this is very much how we communicate, how we feel, how we think, what we're putting out there to the world. And when you connect it with that Aquarian energy, woo, it is all about being ourselves, not hiding who we are, being very true to our own nature. Yeah, even if that nature's a little weird, a little strange, even if it talks to stuffed dragons, you know, it's all good. All right, so let's pull a house card. The houses of the astrological wheel are, you know, like rooms in a house. You know, it's like it's all about, you know, the sections of our life. Each one of them rules a different area. So what area should we be focusing on, Spirit, for this retrograde in Pisces, please? The 10th house. Ooh, very interesting. That's a Capricorn house. This has to do with career, ambitions, motivations, public image, higher achievements, and status in the outside world. Love that we have like a spaceman on this, because, you know, Aquarius energy, Pisces energy is very spacey. But again, this is all, to me, coming together to really say, think about who you are. Think about the way that you think, the way that you express yourself. and how you put that out into the world at large. What is your public image? How are you putting that all together and using it to your benefit or to the benefit of the world? So let's pull some tarot on this, guys. See what comes up as a personal journey, personal and universal journey of this Pisces retrograde. Very interesting time. Obviously, this is going to be, I think for many of us, a lot of breakdowns and breakthroughs, both at the same time. It's not, you know, it's not like this is going to be super negative. Some of it might feel challenging, no doubt. Some of it could feel, you know, like a hurdle being crossed. But to me, I don't feel that for most of us this is going to be like painful, awful, negative. I think, you know, for many of us, especially those of us that are on a spiritual path already, spiritual track, it's like a lot of these things that are coming, we already have known they're coming. And I think that there's a lot of just a culminative effect, if that makes sense. It's like all of the struggle, all of the things that we've been, you know, fighting through or working through. It's like this is really bringing it full circle. It's actually kind of beautiful. Let's pull some of these cards here. See what comes out. Yeah, very much. I feel this energy of life, new beginnings. Yeah, this is a gorgeous spread, actually. All right, so the Fool card. To me, that is a new beginning, innocence. You know, for some, it's kind of naivete. It's, you know, but to me, Pisces is that kind of energy. It's very childlike. It has that true believer kind of spirit to it. And I'm going to modify that with the Grand Lux and see what comes under that one to just get an idea of what does that Fool card mean for us, Spirit? What is that all about? Yeah, and it's all about the Five of Swords. So leaving behind some very challenging situations. This for many people is also going to mean, you know, taking a leap of faith and moving away from especially situations and people that have really kind of left you in the lurch. To me, the Five of Swords is very much about, you know, you've been fighting a battle and it's like the people that have, you know, you counted on to fight it with you have really just dropped the ball and left you holding the bag. And it's like, this is stepping away from that. People that have let you down or situations that have left you down, it's time to step away from that with this particular retrograde. This is all about kind of going back and going, you know what? I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to, you know, it's a lot of review. All the rewords come up with Mercury retrogrades. Review, refresh, re-energize, renew, you know, reschedule. That's a big one. Two of Coins, next one up. So there we go. This is a one step at a time balance. For a lot of us, this is really rebalancing our resources, our material possessions, finances. You know, that has a lot to do with it. Our personal values, what really matters to us. A lot of us have been really rocked. A lot of us have been really shaken up. You can see that shaky water behind him, those boats getting tossed on the waves. You know, it doesn't mean it's easy. It can be a struggle to maintain that balance, one piece at a time, one step at a time. It's like walking that tightrope and making sure that you stay balanced so that you don't fall off either side. Yeah, it's very, very powerful. Staying in the moment, very important during retrograde. Important all the time, but retrograde especially, is staying in the moment, staying in the now, being present to your situation. And yeah, this is really building up to, you know, better times. This is, you know, coming up to that Nine of Cups, keeping your balance so that you can go for that better wish fulfillment, go for that better contentment. You know, that's the point. That's the point of doing the hard work or making the effort and staying balanced here with this. Knight of Wands, very fiery, beautiful, passionate new beginnings. You know, starting to follow some of those, you know, strong feelings that you have. We are right around the corner as well from that Aries season. And to me, the wands are always those fire signs, especially Aries, because to me it's the new birth, the rebirth, the life, the breath of spring, right? But Knight of Wands usually does mean it's like intensity, moving forward very quickly. So for some of you, there will be, you know, a lot of fast movement forward, a lot of fast spiritual and soul evolution happening here. I really like it. Yeah, and just keep the course here. I like that because we've got the Three of Coins coming up on top of that. So this isn't, like I said, it's interesting. It's not just fast, impulsive. To me, what we were talking about earlier with Mars, you know, the planet that rules Aries being in the sign of Capricorn, it's like that mixture of fire and earth. It's like you got the fire, got the passion, but then that earth energy is going to help you put things into, you know, real manifestation, help you stay the course, help you do the work and not get bored doing it. So this is very much about rebuilding a new structure, especially a spiritual structure. Three of Coins always has that, you know, architect, you know, that's building the new temple, building a new place of spiritual gatherings. So next up, we talk about Aries. Here comes that Aries energy. And I feel that as we go into the time of Aries, you know, getting into the later part of March, that's when Mercury comes out of its shadow point. It's really going to start making sense. Everything's going to really come together for us here. For many people, it's kind of interesting because Pisces is so gentle, it's feminine, it's more submissive, it's just, you know, it has a harder time standing up for itself a lot of the time, and Aries is the complete opposite. So when we step from the time of Pisces to Aries, it's like, oh, the big wake-up call. It's, you know, it goes from being very feminine to very masculine. And so anything that you might have been putting up with during the time of Pisces, once we hit that Aries energy, she's like, no more. I'm putting my foot down. And look at that on top of the Emperor. There is the Lovers card. So for some of y'all, probably a lot of us out there, what we're really gaining our strength and our confidence and our boundaries around, it is love and friendship. No doubt about it. The Lovers card is also ruled by Gemini. Gemini ruled by Mercury. Mercury retrograde that we're dealing with. Yep. So it's all about, you know, for many of us, it's putting our foot down when it comes to love, or people behaving badly in love or not doing right. It's like, if you're not going to do right, don't do it at all. Don't come in here with that all, you know, halfway stuff. No thanks. So then at the end, look at this. I love the way this ends because after Aries energy, we get the King of Pentacles, which to me is a very, very Taurus energy. Some tarot readers call this a Capricorn card. I personally think this is very Taurus because he's got the freaking bowls. He's got the little Taurus bowls on the throne, and on his crown he's got the flowers, the fruit of the vine. That is so Taurus. You know, that gardeny kind of energy, very, very earthy, very strong, very rooted. You can even see the little roots, you know, growing around there. It's like, this is to me very beautiful because this takes us even further than that Aries. That's taken us into the end of April, early May with that very earthy foundation. So to me, what I'm going to read this as is that for some of us, this energy of this Mercury Pisces retrograde is going to be hitting us quicker. Some of us, it will be growing slower but surely. But I think for the collective, for all of us, this has definite, like, traction. This is like, it's taking us places. It is a very, very distinct journey that's going on here for everyone. If you're, you know, tapped into it, absolutely. So let's see what modifies that good old King of Pentacles here. Look at that, another king, King of Wands. So we're not getting away from that fire. A lot of fire in this Mercury retrograde and Pisces reading. Not very much water, just a little bit with that Nine of Cups, but you know, we got three very strong fire cards coming up into this reading. So yeah, to me, that King of Wands, very strong Leo, Sagittarius, or Aries energy about him. Very, very fiery. My goodness. It's dragon time. Makes me happy. To me, this is about, you know, standing in your power. That King of Wands is a little bit like that Emperor card. You know, he's just a step away from that Emperor. It's like this again, you know, it's leadership, it's sovereignty, it's healthy boundaries, healthy selfishness. You know, some selfishness is not wrong, guys. Loving yourself, being good to yourself, not allowing others to abuse you or take advantage. That's a big lesson of the sign of Pisces, because Pisces can be so sacrificial. And there's nothing wrong with being compassionate, caring, empathetic to others. Not at all. The sign of Pisces is so beautiful for that. But the thing that they have to learn, which the sign of Aries and fire signs can teach them, is that you don't want to be a doormat. You don't want to let yourself get stepped on for the sake, you know, of being kind, because that's not being kind to you. So, big lesson coming through here. So let's pull a magical spell card, and we're going to get a affirmation, ideas of what we should be affirming to ourselves, what we might want to do if you do, you know, any candle burning or little rituals for yourself. Let's see what we should be working on here. Look at that. Ah. And what do I love? It's at number 12, and Mercury retrograde in Pisces is at 12 degrees of Pisces when it turns retrograde. It's awesome. So this is the card of success. And to me, that's what this is about. This is like winning a battle, guys. This is like we have gone through so many heavy emotional and spiritual lessons. And it's like, here's the success. Here's the victory. Success that's true belongs to me. Success with honor and integrity. So it's like you've kept your integrity. You've kept to your truth. You haven't let go. And look at what's on the bottom of the deck is harmony. As I create, I will share harmony divine with love and care. So we are getting that balance there as well in this spread. This is a really, really cool time, you guys. So here, this has been your, been our Mercury retrograde, Pisces, survival and guidance reading. I like it a lot. I'm looking forward to it. Take it easy on yourself through these retrogrades. They're always a little funky. Remember to double check your info. Remember to, you know, double check if you called somebody, make sure they got your call. Don't get mad at them later if they didn't get it and they swear that didn't come through and you're upset. No, don't let it go there, because the funny thing about arguments that happen during a Mercury retrograde is later you can't even remember what you were fighting about. It's like, what was it? Yeah, just don't even do it. Don't even start a fight during a retrograde, because it won't go anywhere. Nobody will win it. Nobody will gain any greater understanding. Try to let as much as you can just sort of slide, because miscommunication is a thing during this time, guys. So be good to yourself. Be good to each other. I'll see you all soon. Take care.